So, hi, after the lunch, first session, I want to talk a bit about using Chef on Microsoft Azure. So perhaps everybody who's using public cloud, raise your hand. Okay, that's nice. And we are going. Let me talk a bit about background. I'm coming quite a long way from Hamburg, Germany. So my company is called Lichtblick. It's a typical German word. I fear it's about ray of hope, something like this. Lichtblick. We are doing essentially green energy. So about 1 million customers are using our energy, and yeah, we have some revenue, and we're about 400 to 500 people working on it. And in the IT, we are only 80 roundabout, and we have quite high goals. So yeah, it's our newest version. We strive to build the most automated and customer-focused platform for the energy business in Germany. So Germany is not so big, but pretty big. And we have to do a lot of things. Essentially, our business is based on self-developed custom.NET applications. That's the most important part of it, and we are using some standard software to trade energy, to buy it and to sell it in the right way. But not too much standard software. That's very different from most other companies. We started 10 years ago, and our cost to serve is quite low, and we are doing very, very good customer services, award-winning customer services, I think, and using cloud for a while now. And also we are using our on-premise data center. So yeah, Chef came to the rescue. And what is this? Quite a movie reference. Where did it appear first? Yeah, what? Reloaded. Very good. I have no t-shirts, sorry. Matrix Reloaded. The architect, as we know it, or you might know it. Yeah, that's my role description, IT architect. So most of what architects have done traditionally should be done by developers or by tools, or not at all. I like this guy, Erik Dörnenburg, and Martin Fowler too. So what is my job nowadays? I'm caring about, movie reference. I'm caring about teams to make them collaborate better and provide some guidance. And essentially, I'm most of my time investing in infrastructure code. So using Chef was a choice. Applications. Everybody's talking about applications. We have applications to provide business value, and the whole thing is much bigger than applications only. We heard on Tuesday about the Habitat provided application-centric view of things. We do things bit different, but I think it's for us it's quite practical to do so. If you see applications and middleware and packages, system libraries, operating system, you have somewhat like an instance, OS, VM, whatever, and what we need is cloud infrastructure, since we don't want to do it on premises anymore. What we do on the whole stack is using cookbooks, simply cookbooks. And that's the point, I think, the main point of the talk. We use cookbooks for provisioning, Azure resources too. And that's quite uncommon, since nowadays you are used to have tools like Terraform or whatever to provide infrastructure. And we wanted to do it in one solution, in using the Chef universe for the whole thing. Similarly, we are using Inspec across the whole stack, also inspecting our cloud infrastructure, and for sure Chef Automate for observability. So that's our approach, and we started with simple cookbooks, as you should. We are using community cookbooks a lot. We have a Chef server, we have custom Inspec profiles too, and yeah. So what's perhaps not so common is using Azure DevOps as CI/CD pipeline. Somebody knows about Azure DevOps? Something? Yeah. That's the reason you are here, I think. So what are we doing with cookbooks? Deployment of custom.NET applications. We do some OS customization. We have an Active Directory in place. We have anti-malware measurements. We do OS hardening, and yeah, an interesting part is doing as Azure resource provisioning based on the Azure SDK in Ruby. In Inspec, there's a lot you can do, and we have to do something out of it, and so we contributed to develop this Windows DevSec, invented Windows baseline further, and yeah, observability and Chef Automate. We are using the provided sys profiles a lot, and it's a good thing. Anybody's using Inspec and Chef Automate? Yeah, okay, so you are familiar with it. Compliance checks, BSI or BSI in German. It's something like the German Federal Office for Information Security. I think, I don't know the US equivalent of it. I think there is one. You have essentially in every country you have a national agency who cares about information security, and what they are doing is it's a bit small, like CIS. They are providing references to best practices and to measurements to improve security, and we added these references in the Inspec profiles to have visibility of this, not incidents, but yeah. So in provisioning, what are we striving for? Yes, yeah. You could do it in many ways. It's up to you what you decide is a bad, the good, or the ugly way. This is one way to do it. It's very specific in Azure. You can be specific in AWS too. Azure Resource Manager based templates. It's perfect to use them. We thought it could be easier than this. Perhaps quite ugly. Nothing against PowerShell, but doing it command line based and command after command is tedious. So we decided to provision our Azure resources with Chef and using Azure Resource Manager and Azure Resource Manager as a backend. Started out with Chef provisioning Azure M from Stuart Preston. Was quite good, and developed our own library cookbook, something like this, to do it quite better. So nowadays we call it our OneStop Solution, and it's pretty simple. We have essentially we have two roles. One is describing the provisioning, one is describing the application side of things. Yeah, and was a way to go. We started in 2016, switched in 2018, and today we are here. And this little thing is what it's all about. Azure DevOps is our pipeline. You can use GitHub, whatever. Azure DevOps is very well integrated in Azure itself. So something to be added. That is meant as a private agent we are using. We are using private networking, so private agent was a natural choice. On it is Chef DK essentially, and we are using keeping our provisioning role in Chef server and going to it to get it. Then we need some authentication, we need secrets, and finally deploying our resource manager template. So in our something like a library cookbook, we are editing the ARM templates or ARM template snippets and putting it together in one big template and feeding it to the resource manager finally. Yep. Therefore, we have some default attributes in our provisioning role, and maybe familiar, and we can do quite a lot of resources. Just a second. So for me, it looks quite easy. Something like a scheme looks like this. You have a network attribute, and in it you have default parameters and subnets, and that's an example for a network resource. And you can specify it, and it's quite easy to do it. And YAML, so very common. Oh. So where we are today, we have used these roles, and that is quite easy. We are used to separate our thing in different stages, and promoting these changes over the stages is quite hard, or still to be improved, since we have some moving elements, and we have these thin abstraction layer to provision our resources. although it's thin, it has to be maintained. We have dependencies. That's perhaps not so nice. So you're better off if you are using it directly, or hand it over to another one like Terraform or something. But yeah, what is true is we have easy to consume roles in Chef, and we are very confident that that it works out for us well. And if you might think that it works, it could work for you too, yeah, please let me know it. We are about to we think about open source it, and yeah, maybe of interest, just ping me. So this is essentially the whole story. Maybe you have questions. Yeah, feel free.
Bueller.
So what was the reasoning behind provisioning everything using Chef as opposed to using Terraform to provision the infrastructure, and then using the Chef provisioner within Terraform to actually spin up the VM? Because so are you spinning up all the way from VNet to subnets, security groups, vaults, everything in one resource group using Chef, and per subscription, you know, those kinds of questions?
Yeah, thank you. One reason is simply historically, as we when we started out, Terraform was not able to do it in Azure. So nowadays, perhaps we would decide to use Terraform from the start. It's one side, and the other side is still valid. You can have the whole view, configuration management view of the whole infrastructure plus application side in Chef Server, and you can query Chef Server for the state you desired and you want to have. That's nice. Ooh, sorry. Yes, the mic.
So during your pipeline journey, did you guys ever look at Jenkins, or what was the cons and pros of choosing this other or over other pipeline tools that exist?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Regarding, thank you. That's the question. Regarding pipeline tools, one of our simple principles is to use SaaS over PaaS over IaaS. Sorry, German. To use software as a service mostly. So we decided against GitLab. We used GitLab for a while. It's quite a nice tool, and it evolved very quickly. So yeah, Jenkins is another valid choice, I think. I'm not too familiar with Jenkins, so I can't say much about it. Sorry, but what's especially nice with in Azure DevOps is it's very well integrated in Azure, as you might guess.
That's why you use it. It's already in Azure.
Yeah. Okay. And we don't have to maintain the pipeline. It's just there, and they are switching more and more to code-based pipelining. So you are able to define the pipeline in a file. That's what we want to do. They started out click, clack, cluck to define the pipeline only via the GUI, but they are switching to this code-based thing. Yeah, these are aspects. Every pipeline is, if you can maintain it, or you are fine to maintain it. Yeah, just do it.
Here, there, and then we'll get her.
Do you have Chef Server managing servers on premises as well? Have you ever run into a situation where you need to use Chef to manage both Azure resources and resources on premises? And how do you handle that? Because you can spin up a Chef server in Azure and you can handle it on-prem. Do you have two Chef servers, one for the cloud and one for on-prem, or just one Chef server?
The last part, I didn't get the last part.
So do you have two Chef servers, one on cloud and one on,
servers.
yeah.
Okay.
Or do you have one Chef server and then just have both on-prem and cloud use that?
Oh, okay. We have only one. There could be only one. No, we are using Chef Server. We started on premises and moved it to the cloud, and the network-wise, it is very well integrated, so we don't have a problem to use only one Chef Server as a source of truth, and that's this part of this question, I think. And the other part is we decided to go 100% cloud. So it is not about maintaining applications or services with Chef on premises and in the cloud too, but we focus on maintaining applications in the cloud only. So we are in the process of migrating our whole infrastructure to the cloud. Yeah, maybe this was the question.
Yeah. So if you have on-premises resources you need to manage, would you use that with a Chef server in Azure?
Yeah.
Okay, which one would you recommend? Would you basically recommend just the one in Azure then to manage on-premises resources?
Since Chef Server is very easy to provision and to maintain, and it's simply running on a virtual machine. So for me, it makes no difference where it's running. Yeah.
So earlier you answered that Terraform wasn't mature enough when you first started your development. So if you had to do it again today, would you use it, and why?
It's pretty easy to start out with Terraform, and it may be quite steeper curve as you evolve, but it's quite common for tools. To be honest, I don't know.
No is an acceptable answer. No is an acceptable answer. I wouldn't use Terraform. So that's what it's really sounding
it's
like.
perfect to do it. For us, the main point is these single source of truth thing, or to have the configuration all in one place.
Yeah. So your confidence in having the configuration in one place superseded the ease of being able to ramp up and use Terraform. Okay.
Thank you.
I actually have two questions. I apologize. The first one is, how fast does your build actually take from start to finish? And the second one is, on one of your slides, you were showing that a cookbook was stored in code repo in Azure DevOps. Is that the case?
Let me answer the first, and then we go to the second. How long does it take? It depends. We are doing these Active Directory thing on Windows, and since I came from the Unix or Linux side, Windows is slow in many aspects, and essentially I think we need 2 reboots. So this to deploy our base cookbook takes I think 20 minutes or something. spin up an instance and has to reboot, and about 20 minutes, and things which are cheaper to do are much faster, for sure. The spin up times in Azure are okay. So it depends on OS. So Linux spin up times are much quicker. And this whole virtual machine thing is pretty big compared to containers. So, maybe this was the first part, and second part.
On one of your slides, you actually just showed that you have cookbooks in code repo. Is that the case or not?
Code repo.
In the Azure DevOps, in the code.
Yeah.
So are they stored there, or are they stored on the Chef server, and then you're just calling it from there?
We develop it in these repos, and I'm not too sure about the question. We maintain it in the repo, and
I think the question is the difference between storing the cookbooks as code in a Git repo, or how does it get to the Chef server? Does it get to the Chef server, and how does it get there?
Okay. To be able to consume the cookbook, you have to deploy it, and we are doing it in just another pipeline.
So there's a process. I'm sorry, I'm taking over. So you have a process within Azure DevOps pipelines to upload upon when you approve a pull request. You have something that lints or tests and then uploads to the Chef server.
Yep.
Can you talk about that first for a bit?
How we do this?
How you do this? Yeah, or what kind of tests you're running, and how the pipelines are helping you there.
Our testing is pretty easy, I think. Just some lint checks and so on, and mainly we are doing integration tests. So we deploy it on a test machine, and if it comes out well, we publish it to the Chef server. Thank you.
You're not using
Oh, you please.
So you're not using Chef Automate for that portion of it?
No. Okay.
Did I miss anybody? Any more questions?
You have showed that there is a Azure Chef deployment cookbook. Is it stored in GitHub, or it's on internal server? This code that you have showed, is it available somewhere to?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Yeah, not yet.
Because I personally am very interested in
Fine.
trying that.
Please send me an email or something, or we talk later. It's no secret. We are thinking about what it takes to maintain it, and not just to publish it, but to maintain it as an open source repo or small project.
And one more question: have you written it yourself or used something from community? Because there is such cookbook as Microsoft _Azure. It gives quite a big step forward if you use Azure.
Yeah. Okay. You think it might be useful?
No.
What you said, or we depend on external libraries. We didn't vote ourselves, and that's one thing. And maybe I didn't.
So my question was: have you used something from community when you developed this Azure Chef deployment cookbook, or it's like 100% yours?
No, we didn't. We did it by ourselves. We didn't use. Since I think the whole chef community is moved quite a bit away from provisioning side of things.
Okay.
So we didn't found anything. We started to use this thing from Stuart Preston, and he open sourced it, and he helped us to start off. And then we did it.
Yeah. So there is something to check for you.
Yeah. Okay. If there are no more questions for now, yeah, perhaps you can talk a bit, or we can talk together. What kind of cloud resources do you have to provision? What challenges are you facing? It's only infrastructure. It's maybe PaaS services as well, or are you provisioning Kubernetes as a service, or what do you do?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, I actually use Terraform extensively. I swear by Terraform, actually. So all the way from VNet to the only thing I use Chef is when I actually install the packages in the VM. Even I am actually using Kubernetes all the way using Terraform, even installing Helm charts. Like I said, so what I do is all the secrets are managed in Azure Vault. And so whenever a VM is needed to spin up using a key or a password, actually go to the vault, grab the secret, and then spin it up using that. Everything is, like I said, using Terraform. The reason why we chose to use Terraform is, so since we have a backend storage in a storage account in Azure, and that keeps state. So anytime you can incrementally add VMs
for sure,
and things like that. So, yep.
I think that's a nice point for Terraform, and they just announced some days ago that they are providing own backend services, something like Terraform Cloud. It makes it more easier to use it. Yeah. Somebody's using the Azure portal or Azure GUI instead of doing it automatically. No one. Or somebody's using Azure Resource Manager or CloudFormation. I don't know what the Google equivalent is named. No, not directly. As we started, there was a strong advice to not build up the cloud provider specific API, another layer, and you have these layer cake. But to use the cloud specific API directly, we didn't follow this advice. But maybe you want to do it. Since Terraform's claim is to be able to handle different providers, and in my opinion, it comes to they are able to do it, but you have to. The cloud provider specific resources are quite different, so you stay in this Terraform DSL. Okay, but you already have a DSL in Chef, so.
So the way I address that, actually I have done through AWS as well, but I create modules specific for those ones, and then use the modules to spin up infrastructure.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. So, yeah, thank you for joining. Maybe we are just finishing.
That was my clap, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you.